They thought they could silence him. They thought his voice could be buried forever. But the truth? Charlie Kirk's message is louder than ever, reaching millions across the globe, something no one saw coming. In the next few minutes, we're breaking down the shocking numbers, the rise in viewership, and why every attempt to stop him has spectacularly failed. Stay tuned, because what you're about to see will change the way you look at influence, power, and accountability online. Music. People believed they could bring him down. They thought they could silence Charlie Kirk for good. But reality had other plans. Instead of fading away, Charlie Kirk's YouTube channel has experienced an unprecedented surge in viewership, something his detractors never anticipated. The numbers don't lie. The statistics speak for themselves. Stay tuned, because we're about to break them down for you. A wave of support for Charlie Kirk has swept in, undeniable and unstoppable. Those who sought to harm him, those who thrive on chaos, they have failed, spectacularly. And we have the evidence to prove it. When struck down, Charlie Kirk has come back stronger than ever, proving that attempts to suppress him only amplify his reach. His channel's growth is now remarkable. Using Social Blade, the trusted tool for tracking YouTube performance, we can see exactly how he's faring. While some may have thought shutting him down offline would slow him, his online presence is thriving like never before. Check out the key metrics: weekly subscriber gains and weekly view counts. In the weeks leading up to the national tragedy, Charlie Kirk consistently added 20,000 to 30,000 subscribers every single week, a truly impressive trajectory. The numbers are clear. He isn't just surviving online, he's dominating. Since the tragedy, Charlie Kirk's channel has exploded, hitting a staggering 1 million subscribers. Yes, you heard that right, 1 million. And it's still climbing. Now, here's the thing about subscribers: they are different from likes or casual clicks. These are people who likely hadn't heard of him before, saw the news, and thought, who is this guy? They clicked, explored, and decided, I want more of this. This is a wave of first-time viewers discovering Charlie Kirk, drawn by curiosity and the desire to see the truth for themselves. Let's be honest, nobody agrees with everything anyone says, including Charlie Kirk or me, but what's clear is his character. He was a dedicated father, a committed husband, and a person whose life was misrepresented in the media. Much of this newfound interest comes from people wanting to see beyond the false narratives. And the numbers? Absolutely staggering. Since the attempts to take him down, views have skyrocketed. The week of August 25th alone, his videos pulled in 7 million views, followed by nearly 6 million in the first week of September, then around 4 million the next week. After the tragedy, the momentum exploded, going from 4 million views to a jaw-dropping 87 million views. This isn't just a resurgence, it's a digital tidal wave of attention, proving that attempts to silence him only amplified his voice. Millions of people have now tuned in to hear Charlie Kirk's message. The posthumous surge in attention has been extraordinary, his voice amplified like never before, leaving a lasting impact on the world. In a remarkable turn, the Vice President of the United States took the helm of Charlie Kirk's show when it returned. And he didn't come on to mourn quietly or wallow in sadness. Instead, his appearance was a rallying cry, an urgent call to action. He revealed plans to confront the darkest corners of the internet and parts of society that celebrated the destruction of a man in front of his 3-year-old. J.D. Vance also spoke out, adding weight to the commitment to prevent such tragedies from happening again. Before diving deeper into this, let's reflect on the numbers. Charlie Kirk's channel went from 4 million views to over 80 million, and the growth continues. Lauren shared her perspective on this meteoric rise. Like many, she had heard of Charlie Kirk but wasn't a daily follower. Yet, after the shocking news, she felt a raw, unfiltered anger, a deep frustration that lasted for days. What made it so powerful, she realized, was what Charlie stood for. He was doing what he believed in, engaging people, stepping into hostile spaces, and presenting his arguments boldly. The very actions that are often encouraged as civic engagement, dialogue, debate, and public discourse were the reasons his voice was violently targeted. That realization resonated with countless people, fueling the surge in views and the global conversation around him. We've tried, truly tried, to engage, to debate, and to find common ground. But when the response to dialogue becomes this extreme, it forces a hard question. Maybe we simply can't coexist. At first, that realization sparked anger. But then something remarkable happened. Voices from the left began speaking out, saying, if this is what we condone, I can't stay in this party. Even lifelong, Committed progressives acknowledged that this was wrong, that the status quo had to change. Not everyone reacted this way, of course. Some ugly examples persist. But this moment is poised to be historic, much like the death of Martin Luther King Jr., sending ripples across the nation and awakening people to dangers they should have recognized long before. The shock was profound, and its impact is already reshaping the conversation. From the cultural side, Lauren makes an excellent point. For far too long, society has tolerated influencers and streamers who don't just share opinions, they promote violence, division, and dehumanization. This normalization has been dangerous, and it must end. But the problem isn't limited to online personalities. Legacy media, late-night hosts, and even daytime programs have perpetuated misleading narratives day after day, part of a broader campaign of propaganda. That effort has now failed, and that failure must drive meaningful change. Unlike other events, this one isn't easily forgotten. Its consequences are already unfolding, challenging norms, demanding accountability, and forcing society to confront uncomfortable truths. Let's be clear, we're not trying to diminish other tragedies with a "what about them" argument. Every loss matters. But this incident was different. This was a political assassination, gruesome, ghoulish, and horrifying. And what makes it even more shocking is that a significant number of people actually celebrated it. Bash, this is precisely the moment to hold entertainment companies accountable. This kind of hateful rhetoric and glorification of violence cannot continue. It's over. We saw glimmers of change even at the Emmys, which sent a powerful message about public accountability in media. Vash, what are your thoughts? And Lou, I'd love to hear your take on how the Emmys reflected this shift. Vash, I'm shocked. Not entirely surprised, but deeply disturbed by how many people seem to revel in the life taken. Especially when you consider that Charlie Kirk was relatively moderate, far from extreme. His death woke people up. They realized the implications. Celebrating his death meant celebrating the silencing of anyone with similar opinions. And what were those opinions? Mostly traditional, Christian, mainstream perspectives. Nothing radical. Yet, some celebrated as if targeting peaceful individuals with differing beliefs was acceptable. It's horrifying, and that's exactly why society must confront this darkness head-on. Ignoring it only allows it to fester, and confronting it is the only way to stop the cycle of terror and hatred. Darkness thrives when left in the shadows. Thankfully, many employers have recognized this and drawn a hard line. This behavior cannot be tolerated. A red line has been crossed, and indulgence is no longer acceptable. Some critics try to claim this is cancel culture, but that's a misunderstanding. The First Amendment protects free speech. It does not allow anyone to jeopardize or compromise their employer. Ignoring harmful behavior reflects poorly on those in charge, but fortunately, many organizations took decisive action. The impact has reverberated globally, sending a profound message that certain lines cannot be crossed. Let's be clear about cancel culture. It's a tactic often associated with the woke movement, where someone with differing opinions is systematically silenced. They are banned from digital spaces, targeted professionally, doxxed, and effectively chased out of society. The mob leaves no way back. Cancel culture is about coercion and exile, not dialogue, and it's something that must be recognized for what it is. What we need is accountability culture, not cancel culture. Accountability culture comes with a built-in system of redemption. It recognizes that people can disagree on taxes, immigration, or policy, but it draws a firm line when someone celebrates the suffering or death of innocents. Reveling in such cruelty is unacceptable, and those who do it should have no place in positions of power, prestige, or trust. In accountability culture, the consequences are real. You don't get to wield authority or superiority in workplaces if you break the basic tenets of decency. You face tangible consequences, sometimes as severe as being relegated to the lowest positions, because your actions violate fundamental societal norms. This is especially critical when the people involved hold positions of trust, such as nurses or other key professionals, where society places immense responsibility. Sadly, many cross that line, celebrating the harm of someone who could have been your brother, sister, or neighbor. Employers, particularly those overseeing institutions we rely on and trust, responded decisively. This is not the same as cancel culture, where people are punished for opinions unrelated to their job. Here, the line is moral and societal responsibility. Vash also makes a crucial point. If you imagine yourself on the other side of this conflict and assume a state of war, your target should logically be politicians or decision-makers, not ordinary individuals whose only crime is being human. This distinction highlights why this moment is different. It's about moral accountability, not opinion policing. To be clear, no one is saying that anyone should ever be a legitimate target, and that's precisely the point. If there is conflict, it should be limited to the political arena, among those who actually wield power. Charlie Kirk is an activist, yes, but he holds no official authority. He has influence and a platform. But at the end of the day, he's just a man speaking on college campuses and engaging in dialogue. That's part of why this event shocked the nation so profoundly. We don't target journalists or speakers in this country. That's something associated with authoritarian regimes or unstable banana republics. For it to happen here is, as far as anyone can recall, unprecedented. Turning to the cultural response, Lou, let's talk about Hollywood. Ricky Gervais mocked the Emmys' reaction, highlighting how political the fallout had been. Even though some, like Stephen Colbert, may have been slightly more restrained than usual, the message was clear. They continued to take shots, often focused on partisan points. Hollywood, it seems, has badly miscalculated how the public would respond to blending entertainment with overt political commentary. Setting aside the intense emotions surrounding this, we must remember that we are a nation built on free market principles. Imagine two pizza shop owners. One focuses solely on making great pizza, while the other says, "I'll make great pizza, but anyone who thinks this other guy shouldn't have been targeted, don't buy from me." In other words, if you cannot compete fairly in the marketplace, or if you cannot restrain your violent thoughts, you deserve to fail, whether at the ballot box, in business, or any other arena. What struck me, and what I explored in my editorial series The Bubble People, is how insulated some individuals have become. Anchors, educators, nurses, many live in a bubble, completely disconnected from the mainstream. And yet, they could not resist commenting immediately, rather than pausing for reflection. Even more frustrating was how many of these commentators cited statements attributed to Charlie Kirk that were false, claims politically circulated against him, as if gospel truth. This isn't unique to him. It's a broader problem, people blindly accepting claims from third parties without verifying facts. It's like the Charlottesville fine people narrative, a masterclass in deception. And it's worse when the misinformation comes from high-profile figures like Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Joy Reid, or Joy Behar. Blindly repeating these claims without checking the facts undermines accountability and spreads falsehoods. Lou, you blurred the lines between the Democrats and the media. But that's fair. Many in media are so eager to impress their peers in the cool kids cafeteria that truth often takes a backseat. For everyday people, beliefs are personal. You can think the earth is flat, believe in Jedi, or whatever else you want. It's a free country, or at least it used to be. But there's a line you don't cross, promoting beliefs that advocate for the killing of others. That's not just reckless, it's criminal. And as the saying goes, you reap what you sow. Let's talk about that whirlwind. The Charlie Kirk show isn't going anywhere. Even if Charlie himself moves on, the platform continues, and voices like J.D. Vance are making serious moves. His statements signal a major shakeup for the entertainment industry. Platforms like Twitch, TikTok, Reddit, and other corners of the internet are under scrutiny. After the Charlie Kirk shooting, J.D. Vance warned of crackdowns on far-left groups, and the White House has pledged action against anyone who praises Kirk's death or promotes extremist ideologies. This is precisely what many of us have been calling for: accountability. For too long, groups have celebrated violence and chaos online. Those days are coming to an end. When we see streamers like Destiny or Hassan taking joy in calls for violence against Charlie Kirk, the response must be clear. That is not free speech, it's organized crime, it's promoting terrorism, and it cannot be tolerated. J.D. Vance addressed this directly while guest hosting Charlie Kirk's podcast. He criticized the far left's growing tolerance for violence and announced that the administration would act to dismantle groups celebrating Kirk's death and political violence. Speaking from his office next to the White House, Vance was joined by high-profile figures, including Tucker Carlson and Stephen Miller, as he outlined a plan to confront these threats. "With God as my witness," Vance said, "we are going to use every resource at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and across the government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks." He urged the public to call out those celebrating political assassination, including notifying their employers. "We do not condone political violence, but civility demands that we reject the celebration of murder," he emphasized. And for those raising First Amendment concerns, Vance made it clear, accountability at work isn't a violation of free speech. When you accept a job, Whether at a public institution, a hospital, or a local business, you agree to uphold basic standards of conduct. Celebrating political murder crosses that line. When you represent an employer, your words carry weight. If your statements defame, denigrate, or harm the company in the marketplace, it is entirely within their rights to say, "You no longer represent us." Just as employers ask about criminal records or punctuality, they also have a right to enforce basic standards of decency. Celebrating murder is far beyond the bounds of acceptable behavior. Consider the Emmys and the political messaging displayed there. Some attendees wore symbols that seemed to glorify violence while framing real victims as secondary, sending a disturbing message about morality and priorities. This highlights a larger issue. The legacy media is not going to voluntarily step aside. They won't lie down or quit. To challenge them, they must be confronted in the marketplace of ideas. Take TMZ, for example. Their pattern is predictable: a fake apology without admitting wrongdoing, yet everyone sees through it. That's how misinformation spreads when media outlets operate without accountability. Similarly, publications like The Guardian continue to push narratives unquestioningly. As consumers and citizens, we have the power and the responsibility to turn off the noise, call out falsehoods, and demand integrity. Exactly. The Guardian? Turn off their sponsors. They claim there's no evidence of a network supporting the killer and dismissed Miller's claims of a domestic terror movement, but that's simply false. The FBI has confirmed that certain groups, like these fringe furry communities communicating on Discord, were aware of and even celebrated the planned attack. Deputy Director Dan Bonino has publicly stated there is evidence of foreknowledge. So, contrary to what legacy media reports, there is a network under investigation, but I'm sick of media outlets lying to our faces while pretending to report facts. Enough is enough. Let's remember the principle we've long been taught: if you see something, say something. When members of these networks discuss violent plans and fail to report them, they are not just bystanders, they are conspirators. Silence in the face of danger makes you complicit. This is about accountability, responsibility, and the moral duty to ACT.as we wrap up. Vash and Lauren, let's hear your final thoughts on this critical issue. The discussion isn't over, it's just beginning, and the stakes have never been higher. Let's recap, in case anyone skipped ahead. What's the big takeaway here? The forces that tried to silence Charlie Kirk utterly failed. They thought they could bury his voice, but the opposite happened. Since his passing, Charlie Kirk's message has reached more ears than ever before. He's speaking to youth across the globe in ways he couldn't have while alive. The numbers speak for themselves. Before his passing, he averaged about 4 million views per week. Now, 80 million views per week. Those who sought to deny him a platform didn't just fail, they failed tremendously. Vash and Lauren, your final thoughts? Lauren, I think it's striking how Charlie Kirk has been compared to Martin Luther King Jr. for a generation of young people. He became a civil rights leader of sorts, someone whose message transcended his personal flaws and resonated far beyond himself. His voice continues to grow louder, inspiring people worldwide to take action within their own communities. Vash, I'd add that it's important to remember what the First Amendment actually protects. It shields you from government interference, not from accountability in private spaces. Employers and organizations have every right to respond to speech that violates moral or professional standards. While open debate is essential, there are lines. Celebrating violence or targeting individuals crosses them. Consequences follow, and rightly so. In short, Charlie Kirk's influence is growing, his message is spreading, and the attempt to silence him has backfired spectacularly. The consequences for speech and actions taken on one side are minuscule compared to what our side has endured, and what has been threatened for quite some time. Part of why this event struck so hard is because, yes, there have been past threats, even against the president, but those attempts were unsuccessful and didn't shock the nation the same way. This time, things are different. The nation, and the world, has been shaken to its core. The impact is global. From the United Kingdom to South Korea and beyond, people are paying attention. It's waking the world up to the dangers of a grand experiment that has been unfolding over the past decade, a danger we have only begun to confront. The comparison to Martin Luther King is fitting, with one crucial difference: there was no internet in his era. His message spread after his death, gradually reaching the world. Charlie Kirk, by contrast, has a platform where millions can tune in anytime, anywhere, amplifying his voice instantly. This unprecedented reach will astonish those who hoped to silence him. And the ultimate truth? Even the most extreme attempts cannot stop a movement once it's awake. They could kill 1 million, and the message would still persist. The power of ideas, amplified by technology, is unstoppable. Hey, Evilders, take note. Whether you realize it now or not, the consequences of your actions are coming, and when they do, you are going to regret it. The reckoning is inevitable, and no amount of denial or delay will spare you from facing the results of what you've set in motion.